Welcome back to another edition of Yankees Latest. I'm Marc Malusis right here on the Fan Arch Network. Remember to like and subscribe. We love that. And if you like what you see here Monday through Friday, give a little bit of a subscribe button. We got to get those subs up. We love that. And we love the support. And we love being here with you every single day, Monday through Friday during the course of the week. Talk a little bit of Yankees baseball. Also, want to thank our friends over at Kalshi for sponsoring this video. So thank you for that. As far as the Bombers are concerned, off day on Monday. So not much to really delve into as far as a game perspective, storylines coming out of it. The Yankees open up a series later on tonight against the dreaded Houston Astros, as the Astros right now trail the Texas Rangers by half game for first place in the American League West, and just one of those teams that are really kind of decidedly average, or at this point in time, below average. Not really a particularly good baseball team, but have an opportunity to make the playoffs here for Rob Manfred in the American League. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And the history between the Yankees and the Stros, right? The cheating scandal, Altuve, the home run, Aroldis Chapman. The Yankees, obviously, in 2017, you thought that this Yankee team was going to be one that the sky was the limit with all the young stars or the younger players that they had on the team, the Greg Birds of the world, the Gary Sanchez. Obviously, you look at Aaron Judge and what Judge has developed into, and he's been a part of this organization for the better part of a decade. You thought that this Yankee team was, at the very least, at this point in time, if I told you in 2017 they'd win a World Series, you would have said, Mark, yeah, absolutely, the Yankees would have won a World Series, but they have not up until this point in time. Now, that's an indictment on a number of different people. We don't have to go down that path. But if you ask Brian Cashman now, well, the Yankees haven't won since 2009. He's still going to get ticked off and bothered because he's going to bring up the Astros cheating scandal and banging on garbage cans and everything that was going down in Houston. So there's a little bit of extra when you get Stros and the Yankees. And let's be honest, I mean, Houston has been, the boogeyman for the Yankees. Whenever they've seen each other in the postseason, the Astros have owned them, right? Treated the Yankees like the redheaded stepchild. Whether you like it or not, I mean, that's the God's honest truth. And we've talked about the fear factor that was once there for teams in the American League or Major League Baseball when they took on the Yankees. The Yankees were the evil empire. And that is no longer the case. That team happens to be, even with the concerns about the ownership of Mark Walter out there in Los Angeles, that team resides in Chavez Ravine. They're a fully operational Death Star, and that is the Los Angeles Dodgers. With all of that, though, Yankees are still a really good baseball team. They're 18 games over the 500 mark. They're sitting there after the Rays' victory last night, 3.5 games behind Tampa Bay for first place in the American League East, and they're one of the top 3 teams in the American League to go along with Tampa and obviously the Boston Red Sox, who I believe are 13, 14 games over 500 as we sit here on this Tuesday doing a little latest edition of Yankees Latest. So that's the latest with the Bombers as they get set to open up a series against Houston. Now, the things to follow along here, obviously moving forward. Bellinger's back, which is a positive. You saw him hit in cleanup spot on Sunday in their victory over the Toronto Blue Jays. So that's a positive when you look at Cody being back for this Yankee team. The negatives are that who knows if we ever see Giancarlo Stanton back, who's been out since April 24th, placed on the IL April 28th. Now dealing with 2 different calf injuries, one on one leg, one on the other. Re-injured the initial calf injury while he was rehabbing the first calf injury that was suffered on April 24th. But he's played 24 games this year. The odds of seeing Stanton back, which is amazing given how athletically gifted he is and how he takes such great care of his body, that he's a remarkably slow healer, right? And I'm going to miss him. I like him. I do. I know he drives Yankee fans crazy, and people roll their eyes and say to yourself, well, he's nice in theory, bad in reality. But in reality, in the postseason, Giancarlo Stanton, and that's where I love players. I love players where their talent meets the moment. And that's exactly the case when you're looking at Giancarlo Stanton. His talent meets the moment. And what I mean by that is 48 career postseason games. He hits .257, 18 home runs, 44 RBIs, 8 doubles, and his OPS is north of 900. That's a good baseball player. That's an impactful baseball player. And he's had some runs as a Yankee where they've been historically great. I'm going to miss that Stan. So he's out the window right now for all intents and purposes. Not officially, but the other 2 big storylines to follow are, 3, I would say. The forgotten man, Clark Schmidt. who's, I believe, going to have a throwing session today. And then if everything goes well, going to have begin a rehab assignment. He's coming back from Tommy John surgery yet again. I think his second stint undergoing the knife and for a torn UCL. One initially right after the Yankees drafted him coming out of South Carolina. The other two being Max Fried and obviously Aaron Judge. And if you get Fried and Judge back, there should be no excuses for the Yankees in the American League. There really shouldn't be. They should be able to get through. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But that's the latest with the Bombers. Listen, Chisholm at second base. Volpe's getting a little bit of run down in the minor leagues at that position, the positive there. You look at the options that the Yankees have at first base. We've talked about the outfield, Spencer Jones, and what he's been able to do with his opportunity here. And you're seeing that power, including a second deck home run against the Toronto Blue Jays over the weekend, in which he hit 2 home runs, or hit a home run in back-to-back games. All of those things are positives when you're looking at the Bombers. And the fact that this team is sitting here on this Tuesday after an off day on Monday, 18 games over the 500 mark, and obviously a team that hopes to be a force to be reckoned with come October. We'll see. It'd be refreshing. It'd be great. And there's really, just like you can make, if we were doing a show on Tampa or a show on Boston, you'd say to yourself, there's no necessarily real excuses, because even though the Yankees are sitting there 18 games over 500, the fear there is the offense disappears, runners in scoring position, too reliant on the home run. And we've seen this organization not step up and respond when the moment calls for it. We've seen them kind of cower in the corner and turtle up. All right, let's get into a little bit of Kalshi, because they do sponsor this video, and we appreciate that. And Kalshi in baseball, you can trade basically on every single game. And right now, the Yankees are trading on Kalshi at 58 cents. Or 57 cents, I should say, for the New York Yankees against the Houston Astros as they open up a series later on tonight. That means if you put $100, you win $169.91. So a $69.91 profit like that. On Kalshi, you're trading against your peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code FANARCHBASEBALL, FANARCH, BASEBALL, to get $10 when you trade 10, KALSHI, Kalshi, trade on anything. So there we have it. The pick on a Tuesday, the Yankees, with Warren on the mound, open up a series against the Houston Astros like that later on tonight. And that is our Kalshi. And once again, we thank our friends at Kalshi for sponsoring this video. Over to one of the Yankee highlights that we have not mentioned this year has been the bullpen, which has been fantastic. It really has been. And they don't have great big names. Like, there was one point in time where the Yankee back end of the bullpen was loaded with former closers for other teams. And it was one power pitcher after another, and it was an embarrassment of riches. Well, here's where you give the Yankees credit. As critical I've been of the Bombers, here's where you give them credit. They have a penchant of finding guys and developing guys under their system. And, you give, their pitching coach, you give the Yankee, I wouldn't even say, the Mets have the pitching lab down in Port St. Lucie, nothing of that nature, but the approach. Like, look at the seasons that the Yankees have gotten this year from guys like Brent Hedrick and Paul Warren, and you look at Hedrick and you look at Paul Blackburn, you look at David Bednar, you look at the seasons of those guys. It has been remarkable. I mean, it really has been, to where you say, I know he's out for the next 2 to 4 weeks dealing with tightness in his pitching forearm, but look at the year that Ryan Weathers has had this season, 137 innings of work. He's had 143 strikeouts, and his ERA is sitting at 3.6. And before he got hurt, his last 6 starts, he was downright dominant. But, Paul Blackburn pitching to a 1.73 ERA. Brent Hedrick pitching to a 1.49 ERA. Bednar, after some initial struggles to begin the year, and people were blaming the World Baseball Classic. Well, Bednar has turned his season around, and he's pitching to right now, he's pitching to a 2.35 ERA. He's been ridiculously clutch. Ryan Yarbrough the other night throwing 3 innings, throwing 46 pitches of hitless baseball. What you've gotten from the specialist in Tim Hill. Listen, the Yankees don't have one big name after another, but they've been ridiculously good. And you got to give Cashman and company a ton of credit. You really do, for the ability to go out there and spot guys that maybe are a little bit undervalued. But you also have to give them credit for being able to develop those guys when they hit the Bronx and get to the Yankee, kind of buy into the Yankee way. And you've seen that all season long. I mean, Matt Blake has done a great job. He really has. Now you say, well, when you get to October, are these guys going to go out and be able to execute when the pressure's on the most? Well, I don't know if I don't know that answer definitively one way or the other. I really don't. Did I think the Yankees were going to address the back end of the bullpen at the MLB trade deadline? I did, and the Yankees decided not to. Now we're sitting here and you say, okay, well, this is who you have. And some of the Yankees' plans were that they were going to transition guys like Weathers and Warren back to the back end of the bullpen and lengthen out that bullpen a little bit, because those guys have been used a lot. When their starting rotation was 100% healthy. Well, that has taken a hit with the injuries with Weathers and Fried, so that game plan right now is on hold for the New York Yankees. Maybe that game plan does evolve and we get to it come October, but I think these guys deserve their flowers. They've been great. And I was concerned. I was concerned even when they were pitching well that it was going to hit midnight and the pumpkin, we're going to, the stagecoach was going to turn into a pumpkin like it was Cinderella, that all of a sudden they were going to pitch poorly, but they've been really, really good all season long. And Blake, as the pitching coach, has done a remarkable job. And the Yankees and Brian Cashman have done a more remarkable job of finding guys kind of flying under the radar a little bit. I mean, if you told me before the start of the season that Paul Blackburn would be this good in a Yankee uniform and pitching in, being one of the setup men for the New York Yankees, I would have told you were crazy. But that's exactly what you've gotten this year. Even Brent Hedrick as well. I thought Bednar would be good, but he has been downright dominant for the better part of 2.5 months. So, tip of the cap to the back end of the Yankee bullpen. They've been really, really good, and something to kind of celebrate as you kind of take a step back before the Yankees get back into action later on tonight against the Houston Astros. As far as Cam Schlittler is concerned, listen, you look at the Cy Young race in the American League, and I know it's an individual award, but Schlittler this year has been really good. 27 starts. He's 11-6 on the season, 158 innings of work, 2.16 ERA. He has 193 strikeouts. He's allowed 38 earned runs on 115 hits on the season. Cam Schlittler has been ridiculously good so far this season for the Bombers. There is no question about it. So, do I think he is? He is undoubtedly, like, you have concerns and questions about the Yankees and say to yourself, well, who is going to start game one in the postseason for the Yankees? I know it's dependent on the opponent, but here's the scenario here. Schlittler's the ace of the team. It's not Garrett Cole. It's not Max Fried. The best pitcher on the New York Yankees this season has been the young dominant ace. And here's what you love about Schlittler, outside of the fact that right now as we sit here on this Tuesday, he is the best pitcher in the American League, and he's the betting favorite to win the Cy Young. Here's what you love about Schlittler on the mound is the compete level. I've said it time and time again, if you've been around professional athletes at all over the course of your lifetime, the compete level is different. They don't want to lose. They don't want to lose at anything. And you get that sense from Schlittler. The other thing is, he's not just a thrower, he's a pitcher. I've told this story a couple of times. Working over at SNY, I used to chat with Bobby Ojeda when he was a legendary Met pitcher, part of the 86 World Championship team. I used to talk to Ojeda about pitching and when do you know? And he said, well, when you fully evolve as a pitcher, every guy on the major league level, if you've got your A-plus stuff, is going to have themselves a good day, whether it be a reliever, whether it be a starter. What you have to do is when you have C stuff or D stuff, the ability to go out there and work your way through a lineup. And you've seen that here with Cam Schlittler. It's duly noted from Ojeda, and I think you've seen that this year with Cam Schlittler, is that even when he does not have dominant stuff, Cam Schlittler is really, really good. And that's the thing that you love. You love the edge that he brings to the mound as well. So all those things are positives when you're looking at Schlittler. Listen, celebrate the individual awards, but ultimately the goal for the Yankees is to try and win a World Series this year. But Schlittler is undoubtedly, if you ask me right now, and you could have these debate and conversation at home, who's getting the ball game one, who's going to set the tone for the Yankees in the postseason. Right now, undoubtedly, and I love Fried, and I love Garrett Cole, and I've defended Garrett Cole. I think people at times have been way too critical of Garrett Cole, but Schlittler, the betting favorite to be the American League Cy Young Award winner, and he is undoubtedly the Yankees' ace. And I think he would undoubtedly, for me, get the ball game one to set the tone and the temperament for the Yankees in October in the postseason. As far as the American League East is concerned, well, Tampa with a victory last night, they now have a 3.5 game lead over the Yankees in the American League East. What was once a 6.5 game lead has been trimmed by 3. The Yankees had cut it down to 3 off day yesterday, and so with the Rays victory, they've extended that lead as the Rays knocked off the Detroit Tigers 4-1. I would say this for the Bombers in the American League East. They don't necessarily have to win the division. It's not imperative. You'd like to see it because it's an accomplishment the Yankees, set forth when they were going through spring training down in Tampa. They don't have to. What the biggest thing for the Yankees is, and maybe I end up being wrong. I thought this divisional race was gone a couple weeks ago, and it might not be. But I would tell you this, is that the biggest key for the Yankees and the storylines to follow for the Bombers here moving forward, not necessarily tracking down the Tampa Bay Rays. It's a matter of getting healthy and getting guys like Fried and Judge back. Clark Schmidt would be helpful. Ryan Weathers would be great. Giancarlo Stanton, cross the fingers, but I think it's a very slim chance you see him back. The big two, though, those are going to be the key for the New York Yankees, unquestionably. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching on this Tuesday. I'm Marc Malusis, Yankees Latest. And remember, like and subscribe. Thanks to our friends at Kalshi for sponsoring this video. That does it for us. Enjoy the Yankees and the Stros. Will Warren on the mound later on tonight. We'll be back with you tomorrow right here on the Fan Arch Network.